Good pizza.
Broadcasting from the Woodpeckers studio in the great state of New Hampshire. Welcome to the Sounds Like a Search and Rescue podcast, where we discuss all things related to hiking and search and rescue in the White Mountains of New Hampshire. Here are your hosts, Mike and Stomp.
All right. Welcome to episode...
Hey, Mike, you're looking kind of funny.
I think... Oh, hey, welcome to another episode of the Slasher Podcast. This is not an official episode. This is just a impromptu episode. We are at the Woodpecker studio. And can you talk for a second? And
Pirate Radio.
Yeah, you get right up on that thing.
Pirate Radio.
1, 2, 3. Okay, I'm gonna have to turn you up a little bit.
Yeah. Do it.
That's right.
There we go.
Yeah, we need even more of that.
Give me some more me.
Yeah, a little more.
There I am.
I love me.
There I am.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're in the Woodpecker studio, and we have Dave Shits in the Woods here, and Knobbie Hikes. And we're just hanging out around the dinner table.
Good pizza.
Real good pizza. Absolutely. The old Waterville pizza place, right?
Yeah. You gotta get right up on that damn thing.
Oh, it's so uncomfortable, though.
Yeah.
I think if the pizza was really bad, it still would be really good.
Yeah, right now, yes.
Is your volume okay?
Yeah, no, I think so, but
Yeah,
I'm way over here.
We're ironing out the kinks for this impromptu episode here, and we're also warming up from our hypothermia. So we had a grand adventure that we thought we would share tonight as we eat some pizza from the Waterville pizza place.
Yeah,
What is it called again? What's that place
It
called?
was the old Waterville pizza
Yeah.
something.
It was mobbed with a bunch of screaming kids. And
Yes, skiers.
And we waited, 45 minutes?
Felt like 7 hours, but no complaints.
Yeah,
It wasn't too bad. It was warm and dry.
That was harder than the hike, I think.
Yeah. Well, when you're all soaked, when you're
I don't know.
wearing
Soaked and
absolutely
waiting for
drenched.
pizza. Oh,
Little whiny kids coming in like, shut up.
Yeah, vacation.
You've been
kids.
inside all day. Stop your complaining.
Yeah, so we had a hell of a day. So a couple weeks ago, we did Dave and I, you and I did the Lost Pass. Came fairly close and decided to bail. You can listen to an earlier episode for that. If you want to get the dirty on this one. But we came up with a plan to try a different approach, basically up over the Snows Mountain, which is in Waterville. And from there, follow a ridge line into the Lost Pass and hopefully get to that magical location that we couldn't get to last time.
The special dot on the GPS that is official and marks the rite of passage that you have made it. But
Yeah, who do you think put that there? I don't get
I
it.
have no idea. I don't like them. I know that. It was because it's too official.
is there a story behind it?
I have no idea.
I looked it up a little. I looked it up a little bit, and I couldn't find one.
As to the
As to-
GPS dot?
No. Yeah. As far as the Lost Pass, like what it means, and when I looked it up, it said it could be either two different things.
Oh, yeah, who knows? But can people put those GPS locations into these systems that we're using for navigation? So it showed up on my Garmin 64 ST GPS unit. It's just this tiny dot, and when you scroll in on it, it says Lost Pass, and it shows up on yours your maps too, Dave, right?
Yeah, I had two going. Garmin off the InReach, so I had more of the phone app going, but I also had the hard case GPS, which I don't even know the number. It's like a 69 STD or whatever it was that I have. I don't know what its official numbers are, but same concept where it's like more specific GPS, and both had the dots that we were aiming for.
Yeah. And I had it on Gaia.
Somebody must have put that dot there. It's sort of like Google Earth. Like people can put locations in and mark it.
Kind of like
Maybe.
Google Maps when there's a police, you can hit a button.
It might be a little different.
There's a lost pass ahead. Is it still there?
Oh man! So yeah, the morning started out okay.
Did it?
Well, yeah, the
Parking?
parking situation is pretty lame there, and the information out there as to where you start for this hike, or at least the Snows Mountain hike, is very scant. So we went up Snows Mountain Road, and that's where there is one entrance if you were going counterclockwise on Snows Mountain to get up to Snows Mountain. But that was all plowed in. I remember hanging out waiting for Larson and Travis as they were doing their Skyline Loop last summer, or 2 summers now, I think. But and they came right out of this guy's backyard. So when we went up to Snows Mountain Road, clearly there was no place to park. It was just snowed in. They suggest that you park at the tennis courts at the bottom of the hill. Those were all snowed in. I mean, we actually saw a groomer go by for the cross-country trails. So that threw everything off. Like, we had no idea where to go. Because we were trying to save some elevation, maybe a couple hundred feet by going there. So what happened next? I mean,
we tried to go up the driveway, see if anyone would come out and ask, be like, is this a driveway?
Yeah,
do you
I'm
mind
sure
if we
that
park here? But that didn't happen.
yeah.
So we went up further and tried a couple different spots that looked like they might connect if we bushwhack, but there's no on-street parking. And again, it's like everything else. You be respectful of street signs, no trespassing. You try
On that guy's shed, though, there was that sign that said Snows Mountain Trail with an arrow, but
it's like next to his shed in his driveway. So it was that like, do you park right at this man's house or person's house? And,
Yeah, there was no room for that.
I think it would be really helpful if maybe the athletic association or who knows, whatever organization in Waterville clarified what the options are to get access to that trail. Clearly it's being used. That one approach from that guy's house was broken out when I scoped it out. So I don't know.
But there's absolutely no parking on the street at all.
No.
Or is if you have it off the street, is that doable? I mean, was there room off the street if there wasn't snow there?
In the warmer climates, there were a couple soft shoulders that I remember that I was waiting for Travis and Larson to come out from, and there was no signage then. But Dave, you noticed signs,
yeah,
right?
When I turned around, it literally said no on-street parking.
Yeah.
Oh. And I'm very literal, so that's I did not park on the street.
And then we asked that one, the one guy that lived there. We ran into the guy that lived there.
He just laughed.
Yeah.
He was walking his dog.
He pointing down the hill, down there, boys.
Yep. Can't get there from here.
So he literally laughed.
Yeah, he was like, it's not going to happen. No. And he's like, basically he did steer us to a big parking lot, which is like the Wachusett like skiing training facility or something.
That was helpful.
At the base of a ski hill. Yeah. And it was a wide open parking lot, which was nice. And it technically was the other trailhead.
Yeah.
That worked.
The other trailhead. So it's a loop. So it's like a 4-mile loop.
To snows makes, if you use the road between, it makes a loop. It goes up and around, up Snows Road, I think it is, or whatever that road is.
Yeah, something like that.
But the trail makes kind of like a wishbone, if you can visualize it.
So that's what we ended up having to do. We did go to the ski area once, then we bailed out and we tried some dead ends, and then we came back to a large parking lot that dog walker had suggested, and that was the lot for the defunct ski slope, which is Snows Mountain ski slope, but it looks like they do maybe some training there for skiing.
There's a big ski ramp It was definitely some kind of ramp where they must.
Yeah.
I don't know how they land. Couldn't figure that out. But we didn't see a pile of bodies. But they definitely there's some kind of aerial
Didn't look too active.
ramp.
Yeah.
No, there was a ton of snow on the lift, so the chairs had quite a bit of snow on them. They haven't been used since it snowed recently. But that wasn't our concern. Our goal was up and over, straight into the Lost Pass with no issues and beautiful weather.
That worked out good, though.
Nailed it.
Yeah, the forecast was saying
Episode over.
maybe.
Thank you. Good night.
Yeah, the forecast was calling for sun or partly cloudy around 11. That was not the case. It was just gray skies, fairly warmish. So it was a warm start. We ended up snowshoeing straight up the ski trail, maybe 3/4 of the way up, maybe 300 feet up, and then there's a U.S. Forest Service sign, Forest Snows Mountain Trail, and the Greeley Ledges Trail? Was that the name of that?
Yeah, the Greeley Ledges jump off of that. Yep.
Yeah, so we ended up making our way up to Snows Mountain. Pretty uneventful. We were following one footpath, one set of boots, and this guy was wandering all over the place at certain points. A little bit confusing, but between the three of us, we really flattened down the path pretty well.
It was slightly blazed. There were yellow blazes. They were there sporadically. I could see why the person ahead of us did what they did, but they definitely they would have been arrested if they were pulled out of the car and that was a straight line. They were all over the place.
Yeah, faded blazes. So the summit was cool. There was one vantage that showed us a view of. Pardon the pizza here. I'm still chewing pizza, but I really don't care. So yeah, the view was of Noon Peak and Jennings, but they were socked in, so the tops were chopped off essentially. You could see a hair of Welch, and that was about it. And that's where the fun began, because that was the beginning of the bushwhack. So we had 2 miles to get to the summit of Snows. And then the bushwhack was approximately the estimate to get to the Lost Pass.
It looks like that was like halfway. Or the bushwhack after that was as equal as getting to Snows Mountain. Because it seemed pretty far.
It was 1.5 miles close to 2, I think, if I remember right.
Yeah.
Once you came off the backside of Snow, or I don't even know what side you call it. Off the summit.
And the tracks
kind of dropped down.
And the track stopped at he didn't go any farther than Snows Mountain, and so we just had to try to figure out where to go from there.
Yeah, as opposed to the previous attempt, which was more or less following a series of brooks and drainages and side sloping the whole way up to 2,800 feet. The idea with this was to get to the top of this Snows Mountain Ridge, which was essentially 2,900 feet. And on the topo maps, there were maybe three PUDs that we could skirt around if we kept the contour at 28. And then, 2 miles out, we would drop down 0.4 to the Lost Pass. That was the plan. For the most part, the first, mile of bushwhack was pretty straightforward. No big surprises.
Nothing. It was very uneventful. Pretty obvious where we needed to be and where we wanted to be.
We'll just stay on top of the ridge as we were going along. And we wanted to stay to the right a little bit because we knew that, to the left a little bit because we knew that the right was way too steep. And that was working out great.
Yeah.
We subtly dropped down. We thought we found some kind of logging cut.
It seemed like there were a bunch
and
in there.
we followed that really well for a while, but the snow got deep. And it got sticky.
Yeah, especially where there wasn't any trees, like an open area. The snow was really deep there.
Before we moved too far on, there were cool views of the South Tri-Pyramid Slide to our left as we were heading out. So this approach is what?
Through the trees, yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah, totally half obscured, but you could see the sleepers, the whole stretch of the sleepers from we're pretty sure that was the stretch all the way over to Whiteface. And that was actually really cool. That was a cool vantage, seeing the sleepers from the south looking north and actually seeing South Tri-Pyramid slide in the back there too. And then there was a massive call in between what seemed to be probably Sabaday, the Fool Killer area, and then ascending up into the sleepers to the east. So still not sure how that worked out and what's in there, but I'm not too familiar with that. I've never gone down Sabaday. I've gone down to the Fool Killer from Tri-Pyramid and then back up.
Oh, wow.
I've never done that trail.
I did the Fool Killer from Sabaday.
Up? Did you ascend?
I went up Sabaday and then continued straight.
Yeah.
And then followed that. I forget where I turned off, but that one I found a beautiful ridge right up to the summit. That's cool. That was a nice day. Yep.
That's neat. That was the early days of my bushwhacking. I went down from mid Tri-Pyramid and then found that. So it's sort of like a hairpin 1,000 feet down. And at the hairpin, I went up 200 feet to the ridge where the Fool Killer register was. But I was laying out flagging every 10 feet because I was a noob. And I was absolutely terrified.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The popcorn. Leaving the popcorn behind.
I was so terrified. But that was a good time. All right. So, yeah, we got that. So we got that partial view. Snow ended up getting deeper, like you guys mentioned, maybe max a foot and lower. I was just wearing my minus 33 micro fleece, and eventually I had to put on a soft middle layer. I never had to use my heavier Gore-Tex outer layer, which was good. What else? What else happened in the middle there? Any big faux pas? I think we challenged all of the hike safe things today. Some of them anyway.
Some things happened. Definitely some things happened.
Yeah.
The weather started to get, it was warm, but
yeah, that's deceiving.
Right.
And one time I was going down the trail and there was logs, and my foot went down in between these two logs, and luckily I didn't really hurt myself, but I couldn't move after I did that. And then Stomp, you had to help pull me back because I was paralyzed,
just stuck.
That was a little scary.
Yeah, uninjured.
Yeah,
thankfully.
But
you were quiet today. I was quiet.
Concerningly quiet. I was like, well, "Who is this guy? Is he all right? Is he gonna bury us at the lost? He's gonna put his own dot out there?"
Well, the thing is, I really didn't know what I was biting off because you guys said, "Yeah, we're going to Lost Pass," and so I'm looking at it on the map. I'm like, "What the hell is Lost Pass?" Mm-hmm. And I had no idea. I looked it up online, and there was really no information. And so,
not.
So I'm thinking to myself, all right,
nobody's found it.
We sold it so well. We sold it so well.
I'm going along. Okay,
come on, man.
So
Lost Pass.
Something magical.
Go.
Something magical is going to happen when we get Lost Pass.
Oh, it did.
This is funny talking about this because I just hit you up. I'm like, hey, Dave and I doing the Lost Pass. You want to go?
I'm always up for an adventure. So.
And I was hit or miss. I didn't know if you were going to be working at the school or not, or what.
No. So I have a couple weeks off. So I was like, I'm in.
And then Dave, I sent you a text like, hey, did I say Knobbie and I are doing it?
Yep. Yep. You played both of us against each other, and I was like, well, if he's going, I'm going.
Manipulative bastard.
And I had plans, which I never have plans necessarily socially, but we actually did because we do that once in a while. And just check that box. But I was able to switch it to Friday and that it fit. Good. So I was like, now I wish I could time travel and be like, don't switch that.
Like Interstellar. Stay!
But I am convinced that everybody does time travel and this is as good as it gets. You've already fixed all this crap and this is as good as it's going to be. So don't worry about it.
It's too funny. Yeah, so I roped them both in, but I was going to go anyway. Which brings up an interesting point. Going solo on an adventure like that versus going with other people.
No, that would be a terrible idea. The stuff that happened to us today, if you were by yourself, would be so wouldn't be a very good idea. Very unsafe.
Well, it goes back to being super prepared. If you're doing the solo thing, you got to have all of it plus.
Yep.
I don't know. I haven't really snowshoed that much, but it definitely is more dangerous than just regular hiking. Because you have stuff like what I did when you fall down between two logs, and you have I can't tell you how many times I fell. You know, like
I don't know who won today. Who won the fall down contest?
I think
you
I
had
took
the
it.
best tumble
at the very end
with the headlamp. That was like, I think he landed a plane by accident.
Yeah.
He tumbled so many times that.
Well, hold on a minute. We got to go over the tumbles because on the way out,
There's a lot of fall.
yeah, we'll get back to that because
Yeah.
that's hilarious.
No water, plenty of falls.
But yeah, so being super prepared, I was really glad that I was with you two today because it is pretty dangerous. I think if you're biting off anything more than like a mile into the backcountry, even that's like
bushwhacking in the snow is completely different than going down flat ground with your snowshoes.
yeah.
It's you're biting off a lot more, and that's why you don't know what's under there, and then all of a sudden you fall over. And
Well, in the bushwhacking scenario, on trail it's a little better, I think.
Yeah,
because it's a little
definitely.
more packed down and
that's a lot more safe,
predictable.
But the bushwhacking is not predictable at all. You have no idea what's under the snow.
Yeah. So you almost twisted your ankle falling through like not a spruce trap, but it was like a boulder hole.
Yeah. Where we had to go over the top of
two
it.
trees that had fallen, and
Yeah.
somehow he turned his leg, and the snowshoe went between the two trees and would not come back out.
Yeah, that was weird.
Crazy.
And watching you keep pulling him while his leg was in there was classic. His left leg is now 6 feet long.
And then, all right, so we're like halfway through the bushwhack, and then a mechanical failure happens.
Oh,
so
man.
let's talk about that because that was pretty wild.
That was.
Yeah, that I was cruising along, and we were getting close to what we thought was going to be the level spot coming up. And we were all excited that we're right on top of this, where it's going to plateau, it's going to level out, we're going to see the Lost Pass, we're going to see the yellow brick road. It's going to be, release the doves. It's going to be the best day ever.
Rainbows and Bambi.
The left foot went down and it came back up, and it felt odd. And I kept walking, and I heard Knobbie say, you kind of slipped out of your snowshoe. And I looked, and the harness that holds the back of my foot was around my knee, and realized the snowshoe was still on my foot. And that was, my snowshoe basically fell apart.
Yeah.
The number one rule, I think, of any situation, regardless of your mindset, your skill set, your strength, whatever you want to call it, is do not panic. So when I realized the snowshoe was blown up, we're good, 3-4 miles into the woods at this point?
Yeah, that was pretty deep.
And in your foot of snow, I'm post holing up over my knee. I'm not a tall person, but even still, it's a lot of snow. And the knee-jerk reaction is like, oh, shit, now what? What do we do? It's like you figure it out. And that's where knowing your limits, planning ahead of time, not panicking, having stuff to piece it together is...
Well, I think you were very well prepared. I mean, a lot of people wouldn't be prepared for that, but you had the right stuff to fix it. And
it goes back to experience, because I've done the stupid things where you're like, next time I shouldn't do that. Or you do hear the stories like, yeah, I should do that. But if you should do it, you should go do it tomorrow. And what I had in my bag was I carry metal zip ties. And I highly, highly recommend that if you...
I didn't even know those were...
I didn't know they existed either.
They are, to me, more durable than plastic, which we'll get into the durability a little bit later on in the program. But they tend to be much more durable. They don't break in the cold weather. They tend to be much stronger. So I was able to zip the heel back down and then basically zip the bridge in the middle down. And I had a workable snowshoe. It didn't drop down like a flip-flop or a sandal or a regular snowshoe, if you can visualize it. It was basically attached to my foot the entire time.
If you had a multi-tool, could you snip off the extra unused
I
metal?
probably could have, yep.
But
It's
that
sort of
wasn't
pliable.
an issue. That wasn't.
It wouldn't have looked as cool, though, because it looked like I had racing fins, behind me. They were sticking.
Yeah,
I thought it looked really cool.
Yeah,
but,
it was very cool.
Huh. You really don't like talking into microphones, huh?
I don't. It's awkward. That's so awkward.
Okay, that's fine.
Subtle, real subtle.
Yeah, so this story, the snowshoe story goes back because this was the one that didn't break last week.
Correct.
Because this is the backstory on this.
Yep. A couple of weeks ago, I had this similar situation where basically
on the Lost Pass.
The Lost Pass. This place is evil. It's cursed. Greeley cursed it. He did. I know he killed goats or virgins or something. Like it's something's wrong with this place. But yeah, virgin goats. It basically, the front clip broke off, so the basket that held my feet. It was okay, and I was able to manage without it because we were on, the ground that we were in worked out okay. And I was able to use a metal zip tie on that. That held up no problem for this trip. The left one just exploded.
Yeah.
And we pieced it together.
Yeah, but when I came up on you, because I was in the rear at the time, when I came up on you two and I looked at your shoe, I'm like, that was like one notch on my risk tolerance level that dropped down.
That was a bit scary.
It was.
Yeah.
It's like when you leave a restroom, you have those smiley faces. What did you think today? It's like you're smiling into that little straight mouth face, like I'm not having so much fun now.
Yeah, but you were pretty confident that you could fix it and continue on. And what's funny about that is you seem like you were amped up after that for like 20 minutes too. And we hit a dead end, which would have been the end of Snow's Mountain Ridge that we were trying to get through. But we hit a cliff. Like it had to be 100 feet high at least. It dropped into nothing. So we hit a dead end. We had to backtrack. And then we made that even harder call. Like, do we go down this gully, which did work out pretty well. But with malfunctioning gear, it's like, we should bail or what? What are we going to do here?
Yeah.
And that's another thing to add is that you rely on technology, you rely on maps. If you do not have like a hyper topographical map in this area,
it's confusing.
We all looked at every element we had, every map, every GPS, everything we had. We were in a flat. Yeah, completely.
Yeah, if I had a paper map, I wouldn't be able to figure out where I was because it didn't look right.
Oh, that wouldn't have helped at all.
It didn't look right.
We were like, this level's out, and then we're on a 100-foot cliff going, that's not level.
That's not on the map.
And we're scrambling to be like, where the hell are we? And how is there a drop that big when we're all seeing the same thing that we're like so close to the Lost Pass and it's flat, but it's not.
Well, I felt like we overshot it too because it was behind us and to the south or whatever. I'm like, wait a minute, because I had envisioned after that last PUD, and thank you, Nick, for the PUDs podcast. We exemplified PUDs today. There were so many of them. It was unbelievable.
Your ears must have been burning.
Unbelievable. Like PUDs up the PUD.
PUD Central.
Exactly.
Oh my God. So yeah, I thought that after that last little knoll PUD, we would drop right down and bang, there it is. But it just didn't work. It seemed like we went too far or whatever. Because it was like all of a sudden, it's 90 degrees to our right.
Yep.
Which was a little strange to me.
And it said we were a 1/10 of a mile past that last knob. That you were past it. You were now in the area where it will be flat. You are safe. And it was like, no, you're not.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
And that's where we had to go way over to the left and try to skirt around and try to get to that. But that didn't work out.
Well, yeah, I mean,
it kind of did. It kind of did. We did get around the spot that we wanted to get around.
Well, it's funny. We had to descend like 300 feet into this marshy bog. It was covered, but it was like a bouldery drainage.
Yeah.
And then we hit a wall where we had to ascend like 0.3 or was it 0.3 to get?
It was 0.3, I think, from where we were standing to the magical dot.
Yeah.
The G spot, meaning GPS, I guess we'll call it.
It's funny. In regular times, 0.3 is nothing. But 0.3 in this time,
it's like 6 telephone poles. You're done.
Was just incredible. As far.
It's a lot.
So we navigated past GPS that was questionable. We mitigated a damaged snowshoe. And then we were like, we're good. We're good. We're starting to get a little bit of moisture involved here with the warmth.
All of a sudden, I'm like, oh my God.
Oh, I
so the whole time I was I have a GoPro and I was filming us the whole time, and that at that time the GoPro wasn't there, and so I was like, but I had just used it, so I knew that it wasn't far. And so at that point, we were like, well, let's get there because we're going to be coming back down the same trail. So we'll look for it later. So
after he accused us of stealing it.
And you get a broken snowshoe. We just lost a GPS. The weather's becoming not sleet, but it was that heavy, thick fog that was starting to roll in. So, I mean, I was soaked. My pants were great, but my upper body was soaked, but I was warm. I did have stuff in my pack to swap out if I had to stop and stay stationary for a while.
Well, I was wearing my Gore-Tex, and it was soaked. My Gore-Tex. I was
you
dry.
Think you were wet inside because of sweating?
No, I was dry inside. And I wore that the whole time. And
I had my special hiking shirt on.
That's what Gore-Tex is for, right?
Oh, breathable, but yeah, I guess so.
And that's an interesting dynamic too, because the differences in the three of us, I would be crucified for what I'm about to say. But I wear a cotton long outer shirt on top of my basically wicking shirt.
So, all right. So what are you thinking?
That's what I do. That's still what I would do.
Because you like the shirt, or
I love this shirt. The shirt is shredded. It is that thing has seen so many miles. Right. It is time to retire. But I know my body temperature, and I know that when the wicking shirt removes the moisture, the cotton actually keeps me cool because I run extremely hot.
Okay, yeah.
So if I go with any kind of thermal or any kind of fleece or anything that keeps it in, I overheat.
Yeah.
And I get more. I overheat, and then the moisture from that, I get hypothermic faster.
And if you got cold, you just take it off, right?
That's what it is. As soon as the shoulders get soaked, off it goes. Yeah. And then I can change layers, and I can mix and match from there. And a lot of people would look at me and be like, this guy's an idiot.
That makes sense.
They would be right.
No.
But they would also be slightly wrong because it's experience. You can't. Everybody has their own experience, and you know your own limits, and you know what your comfort is. So we dress extremely different when we go out.
So it keeps you cool.
It keeps me. Oddly enough, when it gets over 30, it keeps me cool.
Oh.
So why don't you just not wear that shirt and wear wicking underneath?
Because the moisture goes. It's almost like it's too warm.
Yeah.
Or the breeze will go through, and I'm too cold.
Yeah.
So it's just like it's kind of like. Not a wet blanket. It's a horrible. It keeps me comfortable. I know that's my temperature.
Yeah.
It keeps my core right. If the wind picks up or I start to get the chill, it's gone.
Yeah.
And then I throw on different layers because I basically I can gear down and redress.
That makes sense.
And stay the night if I need to.
Yeah. I mean, I was absolutely soaked, but again, I had backup. I could swap out, and generally. It's that turnaround point where I'll generally swap things out and just like, okay, I'm ready to go. Let's get out of here. Warm up and whatever else. Yep. My boots were good. No problem with my boots. These A-Solo leather waterproof boots have been really good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Your boots were good?
My boots were good. Towards the end, they are waterproof boots, but towards the end, it was slowly sinking in to be not so waterproof. But that was just towards the very end. But I wasn't soaked.
Yeah, I can't tell the difference between perspiration, though, sometimes, and whether stuff's getting in. And you guys, you had gaiters on, right?
Yeah, I did.
You both did, right?
Yeah.
See, I don't do that, but I lucked out this time. Last time on the first attempt at the pass, I was getting snow in my boots constantly, but this time was not a problem.
One time I went on a expedition with I was doing the PEMI one time, and with this guy I just met, and and I was doing.
It's getting interesting.
I was doing. I mean, his name was Stomp, I think it was, and so we were going along, and we were just post holing like all day long, and I didn't have gaiters that time, and it was fairly uncomfortable. So,
dude,
then,
that was crazy.
So then I definitely learned. I learned that gaiters were an important thing.
Yeah, one of your social media icons is you up to your shoulders.
Yeah. One leg's disappeared in that picture. Yeah, you took it. Yeah, I think one leg just completely disappeared. That's a good one. And but that was funny because that's right when you and I first met.
Yeah, and there was that rescue going on of that dude.
Yeah,
that was in the PEMI on the owl between Lincoln Slide and Owl's Head, and we were hearing the planes, Civil Air
All
Patrol,
day.
Black Hawk. People were passing us saying, "Hey, there's a rescue going on." Or
We're doing
search.
counterclockwise, so we saw the Franconia Ridge that they were all searching, and so it was very interesting. Everything from helicopters to airplanes they were really spending a lot of time looking for this guy. And
I don't know the full backstory in that, but I want to say that there was like a glint, a shiny glint at the last moment that somebody saw, and the pilots were able to find him. I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure that's
I think
what happened.
he did have a cell phone, but then he fell into water, didn't he? And then the cell phone only worked for a little bit, and then it didn't work anymore. But they did have some idea of where he was. But luckily they found him at the end of the day, right?
Yeah,
and they said that another couple hours he wouldn't have made it.
Yeah. Crazy. Back to like what's in your pack. So back to your snowshoe just for a moment. So if you were solo out there with a broken snowshoe, what would be the first thing that would pass your mind?
Shit. Like immediately, like, are you kidding me? And then it would be like, okay, different mindset of like, I got to repair this and go back now.
Oh, yeah.
The day's over.
And if you bare booted, you would have made it. You could bare boot it because the guy that was the tracks that we were following, the tracks that we were following, the guy was bare booting.
But he didn't go where we were. Where we were, if you remember when my shoe went off, I was knee deep.
Oh,
and then we'll get into that too. But the bare boot worked.
Yeah,
but there was no grip, and then the snow was a textural ball up, so any traction would just become a ski. And then the bare boots in between, not spruce traps, they were more like small rocks, smaller blowdowns. You sank quick.
Yeah,
Yeah, it not impossible. Early winter conditions,
survival. I could do it. Yes,
100%.
Yeah, you could have done it, but it would be very, very slow.
Yeah, exhausting. Oh man.
And I felt that we went slow today. I mean, doing just 7 miles in 8 hours, eight and a half hours.
7 miles, but that's
which is reasonable for a bushwhack and an unbroken trail in winter. I think that's respectable. Not that.
No, I agree.
I'm setting records, but the idea is I usually ballpark half mile an hour.
Yep.
To be safe.
Yeah. So you fixed your boot with those metal ties. We made it down about 300-foot gully down into this bogland, which ended up hitting another wall. And the GPSs were saying basically it's 0.3 of a mile away up over this rise. And I'm thinking, I was honestly thinking like, I'm done. I'm sort of done. But you two were pretty gung-ho to push it. Like we're pretty much on top of it. Let's go. So we ended up going. I was like, okay, I'm warm. Oh, that's another thing. Cause I did have one slip where I tweaked my hamstring. Remember that?
Yep.
All right. So I was worried about that. Like I was not getting those electrolyte cramps, but I was getting little slight residuals from that one tweak that happened earlier on the bushwhack. So that was another factor that was going through my head. But we ended up following you, Knobbie, up to a rise, and this is where all the spruce fir was starting to kick in big time.
Yeah, because we'd get down so far and then look ahead and be like, well, we can't go straight. So then we'd have to bear to the left a little bit more. Because when you hit those really thick spots, there's no way you can go through. I mean, it
wasn't as thick as I've seen, but my bigger concern was that it was all wet. It was soaked.
Yeah,
there was snow on it, and the trees themselves were wet. Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
because of the condensation, which was getting worse.
It was a car wash. When you went through, you owned it.
It was soupy. So I was getting really anxious about it. Like, oh man, I'm soaked already. This is going to suck. If I have to put my one only outer layer shell Gore-Tex on now, it's a bit earlier than I'd want to. I'm like, just thinking things like that.
That's when we learned that's where he got his name was Stomp, because he started pouting and slamming his feet and stomping around going, I don't want to go any further. I want to go home now.
Yeah, but I caved to the pressure and followed you two.
I was Switzerland. Mark was all over. He was gone.
Yeah, he was.
He was into the scrub, and I'm thinking like, all right, he must be gaining because I haven't seen him in a couple. It's been a few. And
how are you feeling then? Because all day long you're sort of quiet. You admit that.
Well, this the GoPro was still gone, so I was.
Oh yeah,
he was angry hiking.
Yeah, but I was like, listen, I was just like, if we went all this time out to this point, and we need to at least make a top notch effort into trying to get there. And we did.
Fair.
And we did.
Oh, of course.
And we got to a point where we said, all right, realistically, is this a safe move? Is this safe?
Yeah.
And I was soaked.
Oh.
Thankfully I was wearing Gore-Tex, but I was completely soaked.
Looking at the maps, we were in the quote unquote pass. We just weren't at that damn little green little dot. Whatever the hell that is.
Magic spot.
Yeah.
It's probably like an anomaly.
No, the thing is that pass is the beginning of a river. So that pass is probably so incredibly thick. The entire pass, I'm sure, is thick with growth.
Yeah.
So there was no spot where it was going to be, oh, this is nice and open now. Why would you see that? Because it
probably was at one time, but I agree. It was the vantage point to how far up do you need to be to see both sides of the pass? That's what I couldn't figure out. And based on the ledge we went down, regardless of how close, we were within a tenth or even less.
Oh yeah, we were like on top.
And it was like, but even that tenth of a mile, like, is there another ledge? Is there a PUD? Is there, a bear? At the way the day was going, who knows? It could have been a drone. Could have been anything.
No, I think. Well, we have seen some pictures of views looking over an open expanse north towards the Sleepers and the Tri-Pyramid Slide, South Tri-Pyramid Slide, and that's sort of what's been driving me to get to this damn location. But as to the goal of getting to the pass, I think I'm pretty satisfied with that, and I have really good understanding of what it is. One interesting option would be to come up from the other end of the pass from Flat Pond Shelter.
Yep. And then
from the Sandwich side.
Follow the straight up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
That seems like the easiest route to get to the view.
Let's not use the word
the Sleepers.
Easy. That I'm sure.
Seasonally, if it's frozen, it probably would be a straight shot.
Oh yeah.
With the right amount of snow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Definitely during the warm times, that's a no-go.
You get rain this week, that opens up again, and then it refreezes. What kind of ice bridges do you have? What's underneath you? It changes fast. I mean, we're basically at a halfway point, meaning if we made it to the Lost Pass, which we were close enough to touch it, so it counts.
Yeah.
And it was the pass. It was wide enough. We just didn't find the magic spot. You could tell that the pass cut through.
Yeah, you got to send me that screenshot, Knobbie. I got to... your screenshot, your what was that, Strava? Was that your Strava map?
No, that was my.
It looked like
Photoshop.
We were
no, that was Gaia, I think, wasn't it?
We were in the damn pass.
Yeah, I don't care what anybody says. We were in. You heard him. That's right. We did it. We're never going back ever.
Yeah,
we couldn't find the gold, but we got there.
You'll be able to follow our tracks probably for the next few weeks anyway, even if it piles up on top of it.
Yeah, and you'll have questions. We'll answer those shortly as to what? These tracks don't make sense.
All right.
They do.
Turnaround point. We're all soaked. We're now we have a new mission. Now we're finding Knobbie's GoPro.
We're down a GoPro.
We're down a grope.
A grope. There was no groping. So it was a gropeless trip, which made it even worse.
Use the grope.
That would have been much better. But we're down a GoPro. We have Angry Knobbie. We got a broken snowshoe. We're soaking wet. Stomp's cranky.
I had a GoPro. The very first time I had a GoPro, I did the PEMI. And I did the whole PEMI, and I was so excited that I did the PEMI, and I came down, and I was loading my car up, and I'm just thinking, all I'm thinking is McDonald's. That's all I'm thinking. And so I'm loading the car up, and I put the GoPro on top of the car, and I throw the bag in, and then I take off down the road, and I'm thinking, the GoPro's still on the roof, I think. So that was.
And then the other time you showed up
on.
without the little flash drive thing or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Recorded nothing.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. That never happened. But so I didn't want to lose another GoPro. So that's what was going through my mind. But, I swear, I was thinking the chances of finding the GoPro, I think, were I was pretty sure we were never going to find it, because when you drop it in the snow, it's gone. The snow is like, 2 feet deep. You drop it in the snow, how are you going to find that? And we were going along.
It had to be shallow. I was thinking it would have been pretty superficial.
Well, we were going along, and I see this little black line, and I think it was the cord that was on the handle, because I have this battery handle on the GoPro, and so we see the cord, and Stomp's like, there it is, and I'm like, no, that's not it, and it was.
Sure enough.
Thank God.
And that's when our day got better.
There we go.
And then it didn't.
Yeah.
So you did
all downhill.
A nice recap on the GoPro for the next video that we can't wait to see. That'll be fun. Overall, it's been beautiful woods though so far, up to the end point and the turnaround point.
Well, I'm just glad that no one got hurt, because it really was. It wasn't the safest hike, because when you're bushwhacking in snow like that, you have to be real careful, and I think that's why it's important to go with other people, especially when you do stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, so anyway, we're making our way out, and it's getting a little dark. It's probably 3-ish?
Yeah.
Somewhere around there.
Give or take. Yep.
Getting late for a winter hike.
On the GoPro, we're on a high.
Yeah.
We got plenty of daylight.
We're having a grand old time.
Fog's moving in.
Yeah. Drizzly rain.
Yep. Starting to drizzle a little bit. Trees are dripping.
Freezing on my pack.
Beautiful rain.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And then, then we finish, right?
That's it. There was much rejoicing.
Wrong.
Nope. Then the heel of the snowshoe blows out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, I can manage with that. And we kept plugging along. And then the entire snowshoe.
What does that mean?
The televators, the lifts.
Yeah.
I had both sides zip tied down.
Yeah.
And then I had the middle, which is like, I don't know how to explain it. Like the spine of the.
You had two combined to go across the middle.
Yep.
Yeah.
I zipped two together because it was thick, and that was holding down the main base of it. And then one on each end of the televator, the lift, to hold it to the back of the snowshoe. So it was affixed to my foot without any movement. And one of the heels gave out. So it started getting a little sloppy. And I was like, it's fine. Don't know how that could possibly break, but with the rocks and everything else, it happened.
Yeah.
And then disaster. The middle just blew out, and the left side, the whole thing came apart. And it was like we could zip it back together, but where we were in the elevation we needed to gain, and
we had just started back.
Yeah, we did.
Pretty much.
I think we had gotten up.
Mile,
we had gotten up the gully above the ledge that kind of stopped us the first time. So we were in better position. We were going home, so to speak. We were on the better way home. It was going to be not super difficult in theory. Yeah. And the decision was made that we were putting the snowshoe down. Yeah. That it was no longer, it was.
Dave cried. He wept.
Yeah, I did. It was, I thought it was just sleeping. I kept asking, he's just sleeping, right? Stomp, it's gotta be okay, right? And he's like, he's fine. Like, well, why wouldn't you wake up? So we did the old yeller.
Yeah.
And we slapped it on the pack, and I just basically went with the right snowshoe and the left bare boot.
That's amazing.
And
how'd that start off? Like initially
it sucked.
Oh yeah, I remember
it was because
post-holing.
Huge.
Well, you crashed like 4 times in a row, didn't you?
I ate shit hard like Steve, but not sandwich. Mike jinxed me by calling me Dave eats shit the other week because I ate shit. I went face first. I don't know how many times.
Yeah. And
it's just like you hear him laughing now. That's what you'd hear. And then, are you okay? Oh, good. That was funny. It was one of those. It just, your brain, my brain, don't even get into that. But my brain was like, okay, snowshoe on that side, not on that one. It's like, I don't understand. How do I walk? Which one has the shoe again? So I would slide, I would step, I would sink, I would trip. In the first probably 20 steps, I think I fell at least 2 or 3 times.
Hats off to you. Holy
And
cow.
I didn't really have a choice. I mean, I could have zip tied it again. We could have duct taped it. I could have really taken the time, to be honest, but it goes back to that knowing your limits, knowing your experience, knowing what you think you can do. I didn't feel I had the 10 or 15 minutes or whatever it would be, even less maybe, to fix it again. I'm wet and I'm cold.
Yeah.
Well, here's another interesting point. Because we had the 3 of us, our track was fairly compressed, so that is another factor. If you get in trouble out there,
that
you have
solo,
you're limping out with one broken snowshoe, and it's still 3 feet deep. You're screwed.
Yeah,
man. That'd be tough.
Oh yeah, the best day ever sticker is just wiped off. That's no hell, because you just have your own track, which is not packed like you said.
Well, as we were going down, getting closer to the end, it looked like there was other people that had stomped down the snow too.
Later on,
way out by the ledge.
But still, like halfway through the bushwhack, you and I, Knobbie, were going slow. I was purposely going slow so we could really tamp it down further for you, Dave.
Yep, which is greatly appreciated. Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah.
Except when you're like, we're going this way. I'm like, I'm going to go the old way. That's packed down. You guys created new, but it was...
Going uphill was tough. You never broke out the crimp on those, right? No spikes?
I was afraid to, because I felt like, again, with the brain not understanding how the difference in texture and grab and hold, and I got used to the left foot sliding. The only time it was a real challenge, and it's a lot more elevation than I realized, but you take a shoe away, you realize how steep things get fast.
Yeah.
And that's the weird thing. The right foot would hold and the left one would just ski. So I had to kind of angle myself and get used to it. And there was a couple of times where it was just like, well, here we go, just run and grab a tree on the way by. And it worked out, but it was a very quick learning curve to get through it.
Yeah.
And again, necessity. What was I going to do? I could have repaired it, but then I get really, really cold. Had I started to really, really struggle, that's what I would have done.
Yeah.
I would have geared down, changed my clothes real quick, fixed the snowshoe, suck it up, drink the warm liquids, and get back at it. You don't have a choice.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, Knobbie turns around to me and goes, "I'm gassed out." And he proceeds to go over to a log.
I was making great time. And then,
right, you went silent mode though.
Yeah,
which is funny. But he brushes off this blowdown that's hovering about a foot off the ground and sits down on it. So we have this great picture of him just sitting down, gassed out.
Just done.
This is great.
He was done. He kind of looked like, that
we still had like 2 miles.
The opening scene of Forrest Gump when he's sitting on the bench and he's got the box of chocolates and he's waiting for the bus and he's just sitting there, and I'm like, what's going on right now?
but you know what? You know what always saves me? I don't know if it saves you too, if you've ever tried this, but I always bring a Cliff Bar with me for emergency. I swear to God, if I'm on a big hike and I'm doing like 20 miles in a day and I'm doing like several mountains and stuff like that, and then I know that at the end of the day I have one more mountain to do,
Fireball
it's the funniest thing. I just
I'm a cocaine guy.
That
would run back. No, I'm kidding. Everybody, it's okay.
I know if I have a Cliff Bar, it will get me over that mountain. So it will give me energy for at least a couple hours.
Yeah. All I was eating was leftover baking goods from Mrs. Stomp's postal clients, like all day long.
He kept pulling all these holiday bags of like all these cookies and brownies. Yeah. And I'm like, you sure those aren't laced?
I was feeling so weird.
They're so heavy. That was good.
I had Mrs. Shit's homemade cookies, which is a tough sell. You're like, you guys want some Mrs. Shit's cookies?
I had one.
No.
I had 2.
What is a Mrs. Shit's cookie?
It came in that like hermetically sealed bag.
Yeah,
it was interesting.
Environmentally friendly. You just can't get to them because the freaking bag won't open.
When your hands are hypothermic and you can't bend your
he was found dead
knuckles.
with a bag of cookies clutched in his hand. He could have made it if he just opened the cookies.
Oh man, good stuff. So you never dropped it though. I mean, you never dropped your right snowshoe. You just stuck it out, which is pretty cool. You hobbled the whole way out.
We were going fast too. I was surprised.
We were moving,
I was behind you, and you were setting a good pace. And every once in a while, we'd have to stop and check to make sure that he was still alive.
Yeah, I was dehydrated.
Yeah,
for sure.
but you were moving. I was very impressed.
Yeah, I don't know why I didn't drop the right one. I don't. My brain just said keep it on, so I had balance and leverage, so I wouldn't post hole. So if my left one started sinking, the right would be able to pull me up. That was the logic, and it was like that way there. I wouldn't, you know, which took its toll on the right knee. But I had my braces on. Again, learned history. You know, I know my limits and I know what braces to wear, because if I'm going in deep snow, I wear a bigger brace because I know post holes can screw up my patella.
Yeah, yep.
So
Definitely. And then when we got towards the end,
back to falls.
Oh man!
Yeah, so you had a couple of good falls, Dave. After you lost your snowshoe,
Definitely.
You had a good one in the beginning. No,
yeah.
You had the fall.
You had the fall.
The fall of the all
You-
day.
you
The
won.
fall of the day.
You won. But no, I was surprised because I was thinking the worst, because when you fell,
I rolled.
there was boulders there too, but they were all padded with snow. And because
I don't even know what happened.
because
I
you
still
flipped,
It was not a good noise when you went down.
because you flipped over like 2 times, I think, as you're going down towards those
Oh,
boulders.
yeah, he was lighting up the
Yeah,
trees. I mean, it was like I said, he probably landed a plane because they looked down. Like he rolled, and I was like, "Oh, he's dead."
Yeah.
like he's screwed. I'm like,
That scared me.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, it must have, because you
I was
jumped
right- I was
down
right there.
on top of me.
I was right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I lucked out, I guess, because it was bad. But it
it
literally
sounded horrid and it looked horrible because the light just tumbled and rolled, and it was just like, and then it stopped, and it's that silence where it's like, let's see what happens next.
Yeah.
And then he's like started laughing, and I'm like, that's a good sign. Or he's bleeding out. I don't know how these things work. I've never been here before.
I
But
can't even tell you what happened. I don't even know.
Yeah.
I must have just stumbled or like stubbed my toe or whatever on something and just rolled.
Well, you get that fatigue too. Your feet get heavy. You're tired. You're done. You're thinking
done.
about pizza. You want to just be warm. You want to be dry. You know you're close.
The general rule, like whenever I mountain bike, the general rule is if you're going to hurt yourself, it's going to be on an easy trail at the very end of the ride.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where you're not paying attention and you're tired, and that's exactly what happened. We were on an easy trail and it was at the very end there, and that's what happened.
Yeah. Chris Beebe always mentioned that. It's like on the way out, make sure you take your time to rehydrate, nourish yourself, because that's when all the accidents happen.
Yep. Exactly.
But honestly, that must have been the ghost of Greeley just giving me one last trip, because I don't even know what happened.
I think he slid the leg out. I do. I think he kicked the feet out and was like, and stay out. That's 2 shots. Get the hell out of my woods.
That's right. You don't get your little lost past.
No,
kazoo.
the man's got ledges named after him. He's got ponds named after him. He's got trails. You listen. Mr. G speaks.
Yeah,
you listen.
Yeah. I think you're right. Wow, what a cool place. What a weird place, and very cool place.
Yeah, that was a tough day.
Yeah.
But,
so it takes the number one for most difficult areas. The captain used to be that way, but I think we all have a pretty good handle on that area now.
The captain, it's a fairly easy approach in the sense it's long and it's challenging.
Right.
But it's summer.
Yeah.
You throw in the terrain in the winter with the topography, you can read it, but you got to read it with a magnifying glass by a foot.
Yeah.
Because it changes so quick.
Mm-hmm.
You're climbing up 30, 40, 50 feet to a ledge that's 100 feet down to go to a gully that's 300 feet the other way, and you look and it's flat on the map, and you're like, how?
Yeah. And the captain, we weren't going that far either because we camped out so close to it.
Yep.
That worked out better.
Yep.
If we weren't camped out there, that would have been a long day.
Oh, it's a very long day. But I would not have lost a snowshoe.
True.
Yeah. So
In July.
that's essentially the trip. I mean, that's a really nice deep dive on a trip. That was fun. Any other comments on that? I mean, at the very end, there is like that ski training or ramp, which doesn't make any sense because the ramp literally points up to the sky, and then there's a 50-foot drop of nothing below it. They
So
must
like
put
3 inches of snow.
yeah, they must put something there to catch people or something. I don't know.
Huge
But that was-
airbag or
Yeah, I don't know.
something. Yeah. Or pads.
No
But
idea.
that'd be a cool spot for nighttime skiing. I don't think Tecumseh does that, do they? Meaning Waterville Valley.
Not that I know of. But I'm not a skier. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe they do. Maybe they. I don't.
It seems like I said, you walk up and ski down that area. There was a lot of snowboard tracks. It looked like.
Oh, that's
from people climbing it.
People went up and came down.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool.
My big takeaway on this one is if you don't have zip ties, go get them.
Not the plastic ones. I think
I would recommend the metal and get extra. They sell Home Depot will sell them. I don't know if they're in the plumbing aisle or whatever. You can get different thicknesses in that. You can put 2 or 3 together. Yeah. And you can double, triple, and even wrap it a bunch.
Yeah,
they do hold. The reason this didn't is I think I went single. I did not wrap it. I just went with a single just to keep moving. And that terrain was rugged. If you're on a trail, I don't think you're going to have that kind of an issue.
Do you think duct tape would have helped?
I think duct tape, if it was not wet, it would have held the middle a little better. If I had done the zip tie with duct tape over it, I think it would have reduced the friction and probably held it.
Yeah.
I think where I got in trouble was it scraped on the rocks in the twisting when your foot would go under when you fell. Yep. You can't help but sink left or right, and I think it twisted the zip tie more than they could handle.
Yeah.
So, but it's one of those things you think, I should do that. Do it. It's like $1.50 probably for a bag of zip ties.
Yeah.
And there's nothing better than when you're in that moment.
Home Depot, you said?
Home Depot has them. Lowe's probably has them. True Value. I think any place that has them.
Yeah, I would take your advice on that. I would swap out your plastic ties and go with the metal. That's a no-brainer.
Especially for sub-zero weather or really, really cold, frigid. Plastic gets brittle.
Yeah.
And the minute you kick it, it snaps. At least with the metal, it'll hold. Mm-hmm. In this case, it did not, but different circumstances. I mean, we gave it a test. It was less than ideal terrain. So, but that would be my one takeaway from today. And among all the other common sense, be prepared, have your pack ready, know your limits. Don't panic, know when to turn around. All those things happen today.
But the most important thing that we had going is we made it out alive.
And had pizza.
Pizza.
Great pizza.
Good pizza. Good water here.
We're officially the Lost Boys.
I think I've had enough of that place for now.
Yes. Yeah. Next time you're ready to do it, you just go ahead.
Yeah. I think I'm good for now.
I'm busy that day.
Any plans for New Year's and hikes for New Year's 2025?
I want to go for a hike with my daughter. So I'm thinking, because she doesn't really have any winter experience. So I think we might do something real small, like maybe a Monadnock or something like that, just for a starter for her.
That's a pretty tough mountain.
No. Yeah, it is. But she's tough.
Okay. No, I'm just saying for like an easier. Monadnock can be pretty rugged, depending which way you go up.
Yeah, I mean we've been on some pretty hard hikes.
Nice.
So she's.
But when you say the winters, I'm not saying she could. I just you had said it was.
Yeah.
Now I sound like a jerk. Jeez, thanks.
No. I remember one time I did it in December, the last day in December, because I always go on a hike with my cousin every year. We make it. We always have to do at least one time every year, and we did it on the last day of December. And the whole mountain was covered with ice, and we're there at the bottom. You can rent spikes.
Oh, no kidding!
And he's like, "Oh, should I rent spikes?" I'm like, "I think you definitely should," because he didn't have any.
It's coming up from the state park side.
Yeah. And so he did it, and he's like, "Thank God, that was the best thing I've ever did." Because
that's steep. Like I could see it's very bony and rocky. The ice would be tough.
At the top, it's just all slick rock and where and it was all covered with like a 1/4 inch of ice. And but I think we made it out. It was good.
Nice.
You and I did that. What was that loop? We avoided the white.
Yeah, no. We did a little bit different too.
Yeah, we did a counterclockwise, and that was a pretty rugged day up there.
Yeah,
like blowing snow, confusing at the top.
Yeah, because we wanted to do a little bit more miles, so as we climbed it, I think we went out way farther. I forget what trail it was called, but we went out farther to the right.
Yeah,
and then ended up coming onto the trail that went to the top, and we just went to that. That was a good day.
Yeah, that was fun.
It's a great mountain.
Yeah.
So intense. I got to get my daughter out there. She's living in Keene. She's right nearby.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, she's a hiker. She's a pack Sherpa, essentially. She's a mule.
Yep.
And you know who you are. So, awesome. Any other comments about that trip? I think it's a wrap on that one.
My next hike will be when I get my snowshoes delivered.
My next hike will be easier.
I got to do some ordering.
Yeah, I'm not sure what we have planned next. Mrs. Stomp and I have been trying to get out, but we always come up with different things to do on our one day a week we have together.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's tricky. But, all right, cool. I do have a couple things here. Might as well just chip away at some of these things. We had a couple donations over the last week or so. We have Jack Daly, who donated 3 coffees, just saying keep up the good work, and that's very cool. And then Matt Matercules, that's sort of clever. Matercules, like instead of Hercules, it's Matt, but it's Matercules.
He's huge.
You right?
Yeah. So he donated 5. Thank you, Matt. That's super cool. Recent hikes, we got that covered. So notable hikes, if you want to be considered for a notable hike for Slasher, just tag Slasher on your adventure on Instagram, and we'll add you to the list. And we have a couple here. We have, oh my God, Dave Shits in the Woods.
I know that guy.
Wow.
He did Holt's Ledge, Bear Hill, Winslow Ledge in Lime. Tell me about that. Where is this? And was this the 500 list?
Yes. Yep. Holt's Ledge is on the list, and then Bear Hill, I think, is the other one on the other side that's on it.
Uh-huh.
And then the last Winslow's across the street. So basically, it's the AT. It's Dartmouth ski area.
Oh, okay.
They have a ski area that's way out there on, I don't know the route.
You've been down there, Knobbie, haven't you? As part of your adventures?
I'm sure I have.
You probably have. I probably even dropped you off for one of them. I don't know, maybe.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's the AT right off the Dartmouth skiway. They have a little parking area, and then you just jump in the woods. You go straight up.
Yeah.
If I have this right, that's Holt's Ledge, right? Yep. So because Winslow's Ledge is on the other side. So you go up to Holt's Ledge. You basically just go straight up. You go past the shelter on your right. You get there, and you go left, and they have a fenced off area where the Peregrine Falcons breed.
Mm-hmm.
So they have it all fenced off. Beautiful view. Then you go to the right, and you have unobstructed, no fence. You can step right out of the ledges kind of view. It's beautiful. Great views. Cool. It really is. Smells like a burnt campfire. It just went out. Has that like strange smell, like really, really strong.
Huh.
Then you go up to the ridge and Holt's. Then from there, I just basically dropped straight down and went across to Bear Hill, like bushwhacked through the woods, newly surveyed, new markers out there. Bear Hill was some ledge, pretty uneventful, no real views. Hit that, came down, and it was early, so I was like, whoa, I got time. I'll go across the street to Winslow. So I picked up the AT and picked up one of the ski trails that wasn't in use. There wasn't enough snow. There's enough snow, but not enough for skiing. And I followed that to a logging cut, and then followed that in beautiful, beautiful woods right along the ledge all the way, with a big rock outlook, which was awesome. And then it continued on just to the summit, but it's just a canister. No real good views from that ledge. Yeah. And then came back down and headed out of town.
Okay.
So nice area. That's a good hike. That's a good half-day hike or slow hike if you wanted to just quick out to Holt's Ledge. Beautiful. Really nice. Yeah.
And you haven't been out, Knobbie, since you got to tell us about this actually in person, your adventure with some friendly critters.
Well, and it's funny too, because this is my my hike, my yearly hike with my cousin and my cousin Matt. And so I asked him, I'm like, have you ever been to Franconia Ridge? And he said, I don't think so. So I'm like, well, all right. So we started at the Lincoln Wood Center, and we hiked up to Liberty Springs, and we're going to spend the night there. And then the next day we're going to shoot down Franconia Ridge and then go down to the Lafayette parking lot.
Yeah.
And so we're at Liberty Springs, and he was like, I was like, where do you want to stay? Which platform? He's like, oh yeah, let's do it the very end one. So we stayed there and make dinner, and so we're getting ready to go to sleep. And it's kind of cold, so I just got in my sleeping bag as soon as I could after dinner. And he's in his, and he I hear him get out and go to the bathroom, and then he goes, "Mark." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Bear." And I'm like, "What do you want me to do?" And he's like, "I don't know."
It's a good response.
So I unzipped the tent, and my tent is right next to his tent on the platform. And when I unzip the tent and pop my head up, there's a bear exactly in front of his tent, sniffing his tent.
Oh my God! How big?
And he's on the other side of the tent, and so it was a pretty big bear, and so I immediately, I don't know, I'm strange. I know. I immediately I'm annoyed. I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, seriously? And he's looking at me like, well, I don't know. And I'm like, get out of here. So he kind of slowly goes into the woods, very slowly. And,
you hurt his feelings.
And then so he basically, so then, my cousin's like, well, I need to, get water before I go to sleep. So I'm like, all right. So he takes off down the trail. It's nighttime with this light. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to get back in my sleeping bag. It's freezing. So I get back in my sleeping bag, and then I hear this, and I'm like, what the hell? A mat? And I don't hear anything. And then so I unzip my sleeping bag. There's a bear jumped up onto the platform right in front of his tent again.
No way.
And,
wow.
And
twice in a row, huh?
It happened
crazy.
like 5 times.
You think it was a different or the same?
I'm sure it was the same guy. But
Wow.
it happened
Did your cousin have any food in the tent or anything? Was there
I don't think so.
Did you put any food in your cousin's tent before you went to bed? That's the move.
We put all our food in the. We put all our food in the, they have a big bear box there, in the bear box, and in the morning I'd have somebody help me because the bear box was upside down.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So they have an issue there.
Well, and there was one bear box that had trash in it that the bears got into, so there was trash everywhere.
Once they get a taste,
there was no one working there because it was really, I think it was during the week, and it was cold weather.
How do you lock those beer boxes?
It's just like a little thing you flip on each side of the box.
Okay.
There's no way that they can get in because I mean it was upside down and there was no way he could get in.
Wow. How big's the box?
So it's I don't know, 5 by 5 feet by 3 feet high probably.
Yeah. They're
like
powerful
those
creatures.
Big rigid toolboxes. The big
Yeah.
That's literally like the you picture on the back of someone's truck. They're the big.
Yeah.
They have the 2 clasps that come down. They clip.
Construction boxes.
Yep. And then you can put the locks through them.
Yeah.
They're heavy and they're big.
Yeah. I couldn't do it by myself.
For us, but not for the bears. Yeah.
Right. They're so strong. It's incredible.
Yeah.
All right. So you survive? They didn't eat you?
Yeah. The next day we survived the bear thing, and then we got up to the ridge line the next day, and it was blowing hard. I mean, it was really windy. It was probably blowing at least 40 miles an hour up there, and it was cold. And we were going across the ridge line, and we were basically going like rock to rock, hiding behind the rock. Like we'd be like, okay, all right, let's go to the next one, and then we'd go to the next rock because it was so windy and cold. And one of the rocks that we went behind, there was a guy there, and so
random.
We're like, hey, how you doing? He's like, and then all right, okay, see ya. And then we jetted to the next rock, and he didn't come, and so we're waiting there.
You seemed like he was all right.
I didn't know, so we were waiting there, and then
so we need to find out.
So we end up
moving on.
I'm sure he's fine.
No, so we end up going back. And I look at him, and he looks scared.
Oh,
and,
boy.
And I go, hey, you're staying with us, okay? And he said, oh, sure. And then so we brought him across the ridgeline, and all the way to Lafayette, and then when we got in Lafayette, we had a little snack, a little break together, and then
was visibility? Was it blowing snow or just heavy winds with the cold? Like
heavy winds with the
digits?
cold. Yeah.
Wind
yeah.
chill. Okay.
And then we got to a point where, we asked him, and we're like, so, are you an experienced hiker? And he said, well, I've never had a hike more than like half an hour. And this
That'd be culture shock.
That's why he's hiding behind a rock.
Yeah, and he went up Liberty Springs Trail. That's the way he went up Liberty Springs Trail, and he was going to cut across the whole Franconia Ridge. And he said
like a search and rescue,
right?
He said that he started at like 3:00 in the morning, and we saw him.
He was just on the ridge.
Yeah. So so that's what scared us. And we're like, yeah, you definitely stay with us. And then, and he was keeping up with us pretty good. And then once we got down to Lafayette, probably close to the hut, we were like, yeah, he's good. And then, so we
Sounds
just
like you might have stemmed off a problem.
Right.
Yeah.
Was that when you realized he was going the other way and he had already been across the ridge and you just brought the poor bastard all the way back to where he started?
No, but that was scary. And,
It's a lot.
Like, oh man.
and it's funny. I have a great picture of the three of us. It's really funny. Yeah.
No, good for you though. That's
yeah.
Intervention.
Yeah.
But you got to be able to spot it.
Oh, no. The last time that I was up there with you,
We saw it.
on Lafayette. We're coming across.
Came up Skook,
Yeah.
going north to Lafayette. No, it's not north to, but up to Lafayette. And along comes that young woman with nothing, just shorts, a light little, not even a day pack. It was just like a little vanity pack or something.
And it was cold.
And she had taken the wrong turn to, instead of going down Greenleaf to the hut. This was late fall, so it was cold up there. It was like the first exposure to cold temps that we had for the summer. And she was heading straight down into
towards Garfield.
It's cruising.
Oh, she was cruising. She probably might have gone past Skook for all we know. You just never know.
She's going towards Garfield.
And she had nothing on her. Yeah, but it was just, the point being, just recognizing when somebody's in over their head and intervening.
Well, I mean, I probably wouldn't have said anything, but you were like, "Hey, where are you going?" And thank God you said that, because
I gotta be honest, the second I saw her from like 50 yards away coming up over that rock, it was what she had on her that gave me a red flag.
Yeah.
And as she got closer, that was the first thing out of my mouth. I said, "Where are you going?" And then when she told me,
what are you thinking?
"Oh, you missed the turn. It was that easy. You can just follow us."
I'm sure that happens a lot.
100%. And then they end up in the middle of nowhere, or they go down Skook and they're like, "Where am I?"
That right.
One time I was staying at Garfield, and my buddy Garfield gets a cell signal. And so I'm at Garfield, and my buddy's like, "Hey, I'm in town, and I'm gonna go trail running. So I'll meet you up at Lafayette."
I just literally got a cramp in my thumb. I don't even know why.
From falling.
Oh, maybe. Yeah.
So my buddy's like, "I'll meet you at Lafayette for breakfast," and I'm like, "Sure." So I'm staying at Garfield, and I'm like, I wake up in the morning, and I'm like, mad rush. So I'm getting all the stuff together, and then I'm gone. I'm on the trail. And I'm, how going down Garfield is like, if you've ever gone down that, it's
down
insane.
Towards Galehead.
Yeah.
That side is brutal.
Yeah. I mean, so I get down that, and I'm probably in the trail for probably an hour, and it just occurs to me that I forgot my food in the bear box.
Oh.
and I had to go all that day. I was going to Liberty Spring to Lincoln Woods Center.
Yeah.
So I was going to do half the PEMI in that day. And so that was a really tough day. And so, but what my point is he came up and he got up to Lafayette, and he was going to just keep going down the trail and then run into me going towards Garfield. That's what his intentions were. But what he did was he got up Garfield and then ended up going down Skookumchuck. And then so he ended up going all the way down Skookumchuck to the very end, and he had to run all the way back along the road and stuff. or not along the road, along the trail that goes from Cannon down towards the camp area. Yeah. That's where he was parked at Lafayette parking.
I almost wish you could quantify, along with the rescues, how many times that happens.
What, that diversion?
There's an intervention the interventions where somebody steps up or somebody recognizes a situation and averts it, and how hard it is to kind of like, everyone has that moment where you want to say something, but then you don't want to mansplain. You don't want to be presumptive. You don't want to be arrogant and be like, where are you going? But then there is a time where
that does happen.
It's sometimes it's very clearly they're going to be in distress if they're not already, and you just have to do it.
If you're an experienced hiker like you, Stomp, and you know what it looks like as far as when someone
Mr. Tumbles.
No, when someone isn't an experienced hiker, because you can tell. I mean, especially if they don't even have a backpack, if they have like a little bag, like handbag. And, didn't she have something like that? She had something stupid.
Yeah, but I don't think she had a headlamp.
No.
She had nothing. No like warmer jacket. And we were dressed up for winter.
But I think it's really important that especially any hikers that have a little bit of experience, at least a nice question. I mean, she might get mad, but what's worse?
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah, I think the hiking community has broached that topic more so lately, talking about intervening and just how to do it appropriately. Julie Sicardo, I believe that's her last name, from the Hiking Buddies. I'll never forget when she mentioned this. She had talked about hikers are the front line in terms of preventing rescues, and it really is true.
Oh yeah.
So that's always stuck with me. So just, I don't know, just you have to talk to people sometimes. Sometimes it's clearly a red flag. Other times, like, I'll come down Welch clockwise and people will give me gruff because I'm going the wrong way. Like, give me a break. Sometimes it's not appropriate. Other times it's clearly obvious, and you should really speak up if you have the awareness that somebody may be in trouble.
Yeah.
Just start a conversation.
Yeah.
Hi, how you doing?
How's it going?
That's a nice Gucci bag you have there.
Yeah, right.
There was a Hiking Buddies trip that Mike and I were on, where we went up. Oh my God, where was it? Pierce? It was Pierce, I think. And we were on our way up trail, and two younger women were like heading off to Mizpah. Is that the right path up to Pierce? I think that's Pierce.
It's the southern end. It sounds right.
So they weren't
because that's the cutoff. You can go.
Yeah. So they
presidentials or to Mizpah from there if my brain's in the right spot.
Yeah, I think
I know the general area where you're saying yes.
Yeah, but they were really sort of unaware of as to where they were going and not sure, and they were ready to go up Mizpah, and we just talked to them and just we said, "Hey, you want to join us?" And they ended up staying with us the entire trip, which was great. Worked out pretty good, and they were actually they appeared to be thankful for that intervention and company with that crew. That was a good crew, Hiking Buddies crew. So anyway, just a side story there.
Yep. I
don't know what got us on that, but we're still on notable hikes.
You're right.
So the second notable hike is Paul Gamel Jr., who did Galehead. Chris Gothberg and Sir Mapsalot did a 10-mile trail to McCutcheon Pond. I'm not quite sure where that is. Pictures are amazing as usual. Chris does incredible photography. Nick in Nature. Nick tackled East Osceola and Osceola for winter. Right on, Nick. That's always a tough challenge because Tripoli's closed right now, so you have to either, I don't know if he car spotted or did a loop. Last time I did it, I think it was last winter, I did the loop from Livermore into Greeley Ponds, then up east, and then down back Tripoli Road. That's a day. So nice work, Nick. Jakester, same as above, same trip, I suppose. And then we just got this one today. IW10, and I wanted to mention this one actually because this is pretty cool, and we don't hear about this location too often. So let me just pull it up, and we will talk about his trip because I don't know if you've done this one, Dave. I haven't. It's been on my list, but
it's a good cliffhanger. I don't know. What is it?
I'm working on it.
You're killing me. The suspense is killing me. What? Maybe. I don't know. Is it Lost Pass?
Oh my God! Yeah, you guys talk while I look for this.
We're trying.
Yeah. I don't think it's Lost Pass.
No, I don't think so either. I think mountainous.
What else could it be?
Mount Climatolomus.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it could be something like that.
Mount Unknown.
Yeah.
Hold on. Keep on talking. You're doing good.
Mount Dead Air.
Could be.
Oh my God! Why can't
Tumble Down Dick? That's a mountain and someone we hiked with today.
Yeah,
That's
why don't
weird.
you talk about your inappropriate 69 list? See what's going on there,
I did get a ping from someone the other day asking me about what. Not yet. Nobody has finished 69 yet. So right. I had somebody reach out asking me a question about Mount Pleasant where they could park a car, and I had done some research on it, and it was a little bit iffy, but it was interesting to see him and his friend are going to be working on the list.
Oh wow, that's great.
So they're going to shoot for it in 2025, which is great.
You have to have them on.
That sounds cool.
Yeah. No, I mean, good for them. I mean,
that's great.
Anybody getting out there and getting at it.
Yeah.
Even the 69 is great. I mean,
that's cool.
Hiking list.
And you have
69 hiking list. To make it weird, I mean, yeah, if you do it, good for you too. I just don't have, I'm not making you a patch for that. I'm sorry. I don't want to know.
What's the handle for Facebook or Instagram?
I think on Facebook it is literally just New Hampshire Inappropriate 69. If not, I'm trying to remember. You can see how much I maintain them.
All right.
For Instagram, it is the NHI 69 as the numbers hiking list.
Only your mind could come up with that.
Yeah,
but we love it.
Yeah. Not only, no, like I said, the family's very proud. They never thought I'd amount to anything, and look at me now.
So Liz, we can talk about Liz. So Liz did Mount Silly with Izzy, I believe. Izzy was tagged, or Izzy tagged us separately. But the Sillies and Grandview are three little peaks on the 500 list that are, I believe it's Woodstock. I could be wrong about that, but it's basically up at Elbow Pond, which is en route to Ravine Lodge of Moosilauke from the Lincoln side. So you start heading up towards Ravine Lodge, and Elbow Pond will be a little spur road off to the left. And it's snowshoeing in a couple miles to get to these smaller 500 peaks, but nice work with those. And then back to IW Tet, whose name is Mike here. He sends a message and it says, "Hey, Mike and Stomp had a great hike," and this is the suspense. Ready? Great hike of the peak above the Nubble.
That was one of the first bushwhacks I've ever done.
All right, so this is his number 62 of the New England 100 highest. He goes, this is kind words, but not quite as adventurous as Stomp's bushwhacking. No, I've never done Nubble.
That's why I wanted to read it.
Not at all. No, so that's super cool, but I wanted to talk about that because that's something we don't hear about too often is that place. I'd never been there. But he also goes on, he goes, "I wanted to let you guys know a great coffee sandwich soup pastry shop in Twin Mountain, the Copper Pot Bistro at 603 US 3 South. It's on the corner of 3 and Little River Road, where the Seven Dwarf Motel is. So listeners, check it out. If you're in the area, you can go check it out. Thank you for the tips and nice work on the Nubble. So tell me about the Nubble.
It's I'm trying to remember where you jump off from, where it is. I can remember the hike in detail because it was one of the first ones I had done. There was a little bit of snow on the ground. I had a Garmin, like I borrowed from my dad. It was like it had a triangle and a line. It didn't tell you anything. I want to say it's in the Zealand area. Am I correct in that?
It's prior to Zealand, so it's the way that I am aware of to get to it would be the snowmobile trails or forest roads from like where that dwarf is, that dwarf hotel, and
correct.
So behind that,
that's why I think of it as Zealand. It's not. You go up the Seven Dwarfs. You could in the winter. People should know that too. The Seven Dwarfs. You can park there. You leave money on your windshield. What is it? $20 in an envelope. He'll plow it out. He plows out a few spots. So if anybody's going up to Hale or going in that way, you park across. He usually has a few spots plowed out. You back in, you put your money on the windshield, and it helps him out, and you have an easier way to get up to Hale from the Fire Warden's Trail.
Okay.
But as an aside, moving on, but you go up the Nubble, and I can't remember the details of exactly how, but I remember vividly the hike because you go up a fire road, you follow it until it kind of peters out, and there's a pretty good herd path now. The peak's been hit a lot, so you can find it pretty easy. And if I remember right, and I do remember right, there's a pretty good view out there. It's a nice lookout. It's got a ledge and everything that you can look out from.
Yeah, it's a very interesting looking little crag, I guess.
It is, and it's
shark tooth.
I don't want to downplay it and say it's easy. It is a great starter.
Yeah.
Bushwhack, meaning with the herd path, it makes it a little bit easier now because it is frequented a lot more.
Yeah.
And it's good woods. It's not super, super thick. It's got new growth. It's got all the elements you want in a bushwhack, but it's not overwhelming, and it's fairly easy. No matter which way you go off, you're going to hit something, meaning a road in a good way. So it's a good one. Yeah.
That's cool. All right. So out of those, I don't know. I'm leaning towards this one, actually. I think that's a pretty cool hike for the winner of the notable hikes. What do you guys think? We had you, Dave. We had Paul, Nick doing East Osceola, the whole loop there. And then IW Tet for Peak Above the Nubble. Any lean? What do you think? Are you leaning towards one of these for the winner?
I like the Peak because he also gave food advice.
I think that's great.
And it sounds like he's stepping out of his comfort zone there a little bit and getting more into bushwhacking, which I think is great and good for him. I mean,
yeah, and
he's got Stomp aspirations.
Props.
Yeah, I know. That's double points.
Yeah, no, that's huge.
I mean, if you saw anything today, he would be so disappointed.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
disappointed,
especially at the end. My Lou Retton there tumbled at the end.
Stick the landing.
Yeah, good way to go.
And there was much rejoicing.
So yeah, I think that's about it. We did have one mission, but I think we'll save that for when Mike comes back. And then there are a couple stories that we have, but you guys look beat and I'm beat. And that's we've been talking for an hour and a half about hiking. That's pretty cool.
A good time.
Yeah.
Mark hasn't talked all day, so it's good. It's good to hear him that he's with us now. It's silent Mark out there today.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, he was fuming. Like, what did I get myself into this time? So Mike will be back next week. I think I'll put this out probably New Year's Day or something like that. Who knows?
Cool.
We shall see. And thank you guys for hanging. And
thank you.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
2025. Can you imagine?
It's going to be a good one.
I hope so.
Yeah,
I hope so.
Definitely will be.
Good vibes in the air.
It's all what you make it.
Yep.
You control your happy.
That's right.
That's right.
All right. Adios.
Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed the show, you can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, YouTube, or wherever you listen to podcasts. If you want to learn more about the topics covered in today's show, please check out the show notes and safety information at slasherpodcast.com. That's SLASR podcast.com. You can also follow the show on Facebook and Instagram. We hope you'll join us next week for another great show. Until then, on behalf of Mike and Stomp, get out there and crush some mega peaks.
Now covered in scratches, blisters, and bug bites, Chris Staff wanted to complete his most challenging day hike ever.
Fish and Game officers say the hiker from Florida activated an emergency beacon yesterday morning. He was hiking along the Appalachian Trail when the weather started to get worse. Officials say the snow was piled up to 3 feet in some spots, and there was a wind chill of -1 degree.
And there's 3 words to describe this race. Do we all know what they are?
Here's Lieutenant James Nealon, New Hampshire Fish and Game. Lieutenant, thanks for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.
What are some of the most common mistakes you see people make when they're heading out on the trails to hike here in New Hampshire?
It seems to me the most common is being unprepared, and I think if they just simply visited hikesafe.com and got a list of the 10 essential items and had those in their packs, they probably would have no need to ever call us at all.